Hey guys, Keppa here. Today I've got another review for you. Today we've got the Moto G Stylus 5G 2023 in. I got this for free from Metro by T-Mobile. Well, not for free. I think it's like $40, and then I had to get a plan or something, but it's relatively cheap. However, if you're going to buy it new, it's the MSRP is $399, but as Motorola always does, they give fat discounts, so you should be able to get this for a lot cheaper. And if you are on a carrier, you can most likely get this phone for free or for very cheap. Anyways, don't confuse this phone with the Moto G Stylus 2023. It's just 4G. I have not used that phone personally, but from what I've seen online, the processor is a lot weaker, the screen's worse, the bezels are bigger, pretty much everything's worse. Not a phone that you'd likely want to use. All right, let's get into the hardware a little bit. So starting from the right side, we've got the volume up button, the volume down button, and a power button that is also a fingerprint reader. On the bottom, we have the stylus that this phone is named after, the speaker, the USB-C port, and the ever more rare audio jack. On the left side, we just have the SIM card tray. On the top, we have a microphone, and then on the back, you have the two cameras, and then on the front, you have an earpiece on the top that offers a stereo speaker setup, a hybrid setup when this phone is playing media. The back has a really nice matte plastic. It feels really good in the hand, and the phone overall with the curved back feels really good to hold. It makes it feel a lot smaller than some other phones that I've had, and the bezels are relatively thin. All right, so now let's just get a little bit into the software. So for anyone that has used a Motorola phone before, you're probably aware that the setup is pretty much a vanilla Android experience. You obviously don't get some of the Pixel exclusives, but other than that, it runs really smooth and nice. This phone has a 120 hertz display, so when you're just whipping around in menus, it's really quite awesome. I like vanilla Android a lot, so I tend to like the software on Motorola phones. And what they do change is pretty nice in my opinion. They have the Moto Action, so if you do a little karate chop thing, you get a nice flashlight gesture pretty much to turn it on. You can open your camera by doing a little shake, and I think there's a couple others, but really the only one I ever use is the camera swipe and the chop. All right, specifically for this phone, there is a stylus and there is a couple pieces of software that use it, but you know, it's not like the Apple Pencil or the Samsung Pencil where the stylus is special. This is just a normal stylus, and the apps that you can open are just for, drawing and the like. So nothing crazy. You could download any of these apps probably from the store. They may not be the Motorola ones, but there's going to be third-party versions, so nothing crazy. But if you like having a stylus for precision, or you're playing some Jackbox games or something, it is nice to have. But for me, a stylus isn't really a selling point for a phone. I think for a lot of people it might be, which could be a good reason to go with this phone, because there's not really any budget options for styluses unless you go old or used. So anyways, I think that's pretty decent on the software. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the speakers. So like I said, it's a dual speaker setup, and they get relatively loud. It's not the loudest I've ever had, but it's a pretty good setup. Wherever you are, you'll probably be able to hear it if you crank it up, unless you're in like an airplane or something. So I think it's pretty good. Let's talk a little bit about the screen. So it's a full HD IPS LCD, so it's pretty decent. It's got 120 hertz refresh rate, but my complaint always with LCDs is, why didn't they make this an OLED? It's not that much more expensive, and it makes the phone way better. Personally, I think if they made this phone OLED, it would be a way easier sell for people, because Motorola's got good software, and they pretty much dominate the budget section in the US, which sucks because you know, if they put $10 more into making this an OLED screen, I'd gladly pay that to make the phone a lot better. Oh, something else that I forgot to talk about in the software. Oh, hey, kitty. Something that I forgot to talk about in the software is Motorola kind of sucks at software updates. So if you get this phone, expect it to be on where it is for quite some time. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the camera a little bit. So we've got the front selfie camera, obviously, and then the 50 megapixel AI camera on the back, and then an ultra wide camera. I'll just show some pictures to you guys that I took and some videos and let you make up your own decisions. To me, megapixels don't really matter. It's all about the software and how the end result actually looks. So yeah, I'll throw those up here. Outdoor video. Pretty good. Let's check out the ultra wide. Oh, you can't go to ultra wide in the middle of video, so I gotta stop it. Here's ultra wide video. Oh, you monster. What the selfie video looks like. Seems okay. Not the best, not the worst. Here's 4K. Another thing that I usually like to do with my phones is, my cat is just having a field day right now. Another thing that I like to do with my phones is test out the battery. So I always download AccuBattery, and while I'm using it, I can kind of get a understanding of, you know, what my usage would be like. And anyone who watches my reviews can understand that I use my phones pretty much the same, no matter which one it is. So from phone to phone, the battery life can mean something if you look at mine. So this phone with the screen on lasts for 9 hours and 6 minutes, the screen off 8 days. Which is absurd. But overall, I find that this phone can easily get me through a day, but when I compare it to the likes of my Galaxy A34, the battery is not quite as good, but it's still pretty nice. And that battery, it might be because this phone has a better processor. It's got the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1, which is better than the Dimensity 1080 on my A34. It could also be that the A34 has OLED, whereas this phone, as we've already discussed, just has LED or LCD. So overall, the battery is pretty good, but nothing to write home about. Let's get into a little bit of performance and show some gaming. So as I already said, this has the Snapdragon 6 Gen 1, which is a killer budget chip, I think. It runs really well, and a lot of developers will optimize for Snapdragon before MediaTek, Exynos, Tensor, and the like. So for me, this phone has performed extremely well in day-to-day actions, and usually when I do a phone review, I show Alien Isolation, but recently I've been unable to download that app and actually play it. If I attempt to sideload it, then I get errors saying that I need to give access to storage, and there's no option in permissions to do that. So even though I don't really like Genshin Impact, I did load it up here and it plays fantastically. Not really a surprise. Once this is loaded, I will just resume this video and show you guys how it plays. All right, Genshin Impact's all loaded up, and you can see here that it runs really well. Get into a little combat. I suck at this game. I don't really know how to play it, but yeah, it runs really well. That Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 is a champion of a budget chip. It doesn't really get hot. You can play this game for a long time, and the phone does not get hot at all. So I really enjoy it. I kind of wish that my Samsung had this chip in it. It's just, it works really well. Yeah, so let's go into the pros and cons a little bit. So we've already discussed some of the cons on this phone, which are the screen isn't OLED and the software support is kind of lacking. And when you consider the price, if you're getting this for MSRP at $400, I think you could do a lot better. You know, I just looked up the price of the Pixel 6a, and you can get one new for $350. And it is Black Friday right now, so if you got the Pixel 7, I think you can get it for $399. So same price as this if it were MSRP. But as I said, Motorola is always having huge discounts, and the carriers are always kind of shilling their phones. So you'll probably be able to get this for cheaper than $400 if you just have a little bit of patience. But for me, I just am so used to having an OLED screen now, and I really like OLED screens, so I wouldn't really want this phone if I have an option for something in the same price bracket or a same trade-in deal that has an OLED. Also, it's worth mentioning that Motorola phones usually don't carry very good trade-in value. So if you upgrade every 2 years and you usually trade in your phone, you're probably only going to get like $10 for this phone. Whereas if you had a more premium Android phone, or even mid-range Android phone, like if you have the A34 or the Pixel 7a or 6a, you'll probably get a better trade-in value. And same with iPhones. So I don't know, to me this phone, it's nice right now, but in a couple years when you're getting tired of it, you're probably not gonna get much value trading it in. And since it doesn't have very many software updates, you know, you're probably gonna end up wishing you'd got a different phone. But honestly, I still like this phone a lot. It's got great speakers. The screen's pretty good, even though it's not OLED. It feels awesome in your hand. I really like the finish on the back and the plastic, that is plastic instead of glass, because that makes it a little more durable, at least in my experience. And as I said, the camera's pretty good. And it's, I don't know, it's just an overall decent phone. But to me, I would want this phone to be like $200 for it to feel like a really good deal. At $400, it seems crazy. Well, that makes up my review. I hope you liked it. If you did, please drop a like, give me a subscription, or don't. Either way, I hope to see you in the next one. All right, bye.